Alright, I've been slacking on the whole video thing, doing my, my due diligence and everything. Midterms, it will do that to you. But no further excuses here. We have Bellator. What number is this one supposed to be? It's the one that's going to be on February 14th, aka tomorrow. Middleweight tournament bouts mostly, and one world title fight. Undercard wise, we again have one middleweight tournament fight on the undercard, and I don't like these being on the undercard because, I feel that if you're going to appreciate the full tournament, you got to be able to see all the fights. And as much as you could go, well, it's really easy to go to spiketv.com and watch the fights. It's still something people don't really want to do all the time. Anyways, it's Mikel Parlo versus Sultan Aliyev. They have identical records. Literally 9-0. And just let me pull up Aliyev's record because I just want to quickly refamiliarize myself with who he's fought. I know the fighter. I just want to be able to, make some references. As for Parlo, he's, I believe, a Danish kickboxer more than anything else. He likes to strike. He likes to bang. And he's quite good at it. As for Aliyev, same thing. Both guys are generally lacking what you call really, really big wins. Aliyev's got a couple via, Eastern European fighters that if you're really in the know, you do know, but most people probably don't. And Parlo's kind of in the same boat where, he's fought a lot of guys that don't really amount to a whole hill of beans. So both guys look pretty impressive. Aliyev's the bigger guy, but I think Parlo's the more talented guy. I think he's the better striker. And I think grappling-wise, these are two guys who more or less have the skills to nullify one another. I'm going with Parlo by decision. Just because Parlo has fought in Bellator before. He beat Jared Combs at Bellator 78. And I don't believe Aliyev has. And I'm correct in that. He's not fought in the United States before, and that's usually a huge advantage. So I'm going to go with Mikel Parlo. On to the main card, because the rest of the undercard doesn't really amuse me. It doesn't really amuse you. This is probably one of the less spectacular tournaments of the bunch. The 205 one would be, I would say, the least spectacular. But there's still some good stuff here. Andreas Bank's going to fight Rhino Marshall. Doug Marshall, you may remember from WEC days, he was a 205-pound champion there, the guy that Brian Stan beat for the title. I get Spang winning this. He's faster, he's a better striker. Rhino's probably a better wrestler and grappler, but tends to like to strike, tends to like to bang. And Spang has shown, that his ground game is perhaps a little underrated. He seems to be able to actually survive pretty well. He seems to be able to get back to his feet. He seems to be able to defend himself. And actually even be offensive on the ground, which you wouldn't really think from a guy who is more known as a boxer. But case of him rounding himself out. I'm not a big Andreas Bang fan. I found him to be his whole tendency to push people in the stare downs and then kind of, be surprised when, you push a guy like Michael Falco and he goes after you. It was kind of like, come on, man. It's a little stupid. But mind games, if you think it'll work, I guess it's what it is. I got Spang winning. First or second round TKO. If Rhino Marshall wins, it'll be by just taking him down and kind of holding him down. Brett Cooper versus Norman Parise. Probably the closest of the four bouts outside of the Parlo Aliyev one. I've got Cooper winning. In the end, if you can make fights difficult for Norman Parise, he seems to give up. And if there's one thing Brett Cooper is good at, it's making fights difficult for people. He's not a terribly big 185er. Neither is Parise. They're both, I would say their strongest element is wrestling, but Cooper does like to stand and does have heavy hands. So we'll see a little bit of that, I think. But I just think in general, Cooper's got the advantage kind of everywhere. And he'll probably TKO Parise in the second round. Brian Rogers, Dan Kramer of Ultimate Fighter fame. He lost to Tim Crater back in the Forrest Griffin Rampage Jackson season. He was one of two fighters on Rampage's team to actually win The other one being CB Dalloway. You know, he looked promising then, but he seems to have stagnated and isn't really in any way progressing as a UFC or as a MMA fighter. And Brian Rogers is a guy who impresses me with his athleticism. He seems to get better every time out, mixes in a little bit of new tools to his toolbox. So I'm always interested to see him fight because I'm always expecting something new, which is nice. And I got him winning this one. I think he's just a better athlete than Kramer. I think he's much better on the feet. Kramer is probably the better grappler of the two, but isn't overly finish-oriented on the ground, and Rogers has proven that he's hard to keep down and hard to get down. So I can't really see that, you know, being how this goes. I got Rogers winning by TKO, first or second round. Eduardo Dantas, Marcos Galvao, bantamweight title. We got a teacher versus student here because Galvao taught Dantas a lot of what he knows. If this were a pure grappling match, I'd probably have to give the edge to Galvao. He's a phenomenal submission grappler, phenomenal position grappler, and he very well may win this fight. But I think with the stand-up being quite far apart, I think Dantas is has a considerable edge in the stand-up. And he showed against Zach Makovsky that he's not as easy to take down as you think. Now, mind you, Zach Makovsky's stock seems to be on a plummet after losing to Anthony Leone, but still, at the time, people were like, Makovsky's going to take him down, he's going to work his ground and pound, he's going to work his positional grappling, it's going to be a 25-minute board fight, and he went out there and destroyed him. And then got destroyed by Tyson Nam, which just kind of shows, you know, MMA is what it is. It can happen in a flash. It's like those people writing off Alistair Overeem for getting knocked out by Bigfoot Silva. I don't understand it. I never will understand it. This tendency to, you know, go, ha ha, I was right, Wade. He kicked his ass for the entire fight and then ate a kick and got knocked out in a heavyweight bout. How is that a ha ha? I told you so. But anyways, I'm going with Dantas, but it wouldn't surprise me if Galvao gets the win here. If he does, it's going to be by decision. I don't think he can finish Dantas. I don't think Dantas can finish Galvao either. Despite some chin problems at one point in his career, Galvao seems to have a very solid chin, and he is not getting submitted by anyone that Bellator has on their 135-pound roster. So I got Dantas winning by decision, and what should be a pretty good fight if you're into the strategic aspect of MMA. If you're looking for just a brawl, I think there will be moments of that because Galvao will brawl, but I think a lot of it will be a little bit more of a strategic style fight that hopefully the casual fan can still get behind. But it's a good fight. It's a relevant fight because I think these are two of the best bantamweights in the world. I think Dantas is top 10 still despite losing to Tyson Nam, and I think Galvao is probably top 20-ish. So there you go. Yeah, so very relevant fight. Decent tournament fights. Not looking forward to this card as much as I was the last two, but the last two I think kind of spoiled us in the sense that, you know, like there were some really, really, really good fights on there, and it's not quite the same here. But it's Bellator. It's free. Watch it.